Good morning, Mother Oafers. It is Friday, February 22nd, and I am happy that you are joining me this morning. So what I normally do, for those of you that are new to this, my name is Dave Bernard. I'm a 47-year-old fat man, and I get on here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. And the reason that I am doing this is because on January 4th of this year, I was supposed to have a umbilical hernia operation. And in so many words, the surgeon said that I was too fat to have that surgery. Not really. Basically said I would be better off if I waited until I got my BMI down to 35, or in my case that would be 244 pounds, before I had the surgery, so that I could have a better chance of recovery. Of course, if I have any injury between now and then we'll have the surgery in more of an emergency standpoint. However, in order to lose weight, I've chosen to get on my bike, and because it's wintertime here in Michigan, I decided to use this program called Zwift, which is what you see here in the background. And of course that's tied to a smart trainer, which I am using a Wahoo Kickr 18. I'm new to all of this, so the streaming, the riding on the Kickr, everything. I'm not new to biking. Been doing that since I was a kid, just like most of you. So if you do decide to follow me, I will tell you that I try to have a topic to talk about at 7:30 every morning that I'm on, just to keep it from being too boring for y'all. What I try to do in the beginning of every stream is give you a little background, just so if you're new, or if you're not new, if you're just curious as to what the topic will be, just kind of give it a schedule. So if you already know the schedule and you only want to hear the topic, well, you can wait till 7:30. And I find that, you know, when I say this every time, but if anybody's interested in doing this, I highly recommend it, because what it's done for me by committing to this time period and having a group of people that jump on here with me, what I found is that it actually helps me stay motivated to actually get up and get going the mornings I say I'm going to do it. And so, as silly as it may sound or seem, knowing that you guys are going to be there actually does help me. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you chiming in. In most cases, I can usually see what you guys are saying, but this morning it seems that my messaging system's not keeping up with what's on the screen, so I'm struggling a little bit to read anything you guys are saying. But I'm glad to answer any questions. If I can't see it originally, then I will. You'll definitely catch me later on in the day when I review the video. So also in the beginning of each of the streams, I have to fumble through some of the technology just to get it up and running right. So I apologize. In the other cases, I actually stumble sometimes just to actually read through all the messages and all of that. So as far as reading exactly what you guys say, But hey, whatever, right? Woo! So this journey, like I said, I started in, and I can't remember, it was either January 6th or January 9th. I started my my Zwifting journey, or my goal to, or what I call Mission 44, which is to get down to 244 pounds. And I expect to be there by January of 2020. And I started off at 313 pounds. Well, I haven't lost any weight yet. Matter of fact, I've actually gained some weight. There's some reasons for it. Some mistakes I made on supplements may have caused some of it, but there's no big secret. Most of it's me fighting through my food addictions and overeating still. So I think I'm eating fairly healthy most of the time, but I do run into times where, you know, I'll get sucked into something that somebody's brought into work. And if Matt's watching, I appreciate you more than you. So one of our customers brought in donuts the other day, and we have 2 locations, and he got at least one of the boxes out for me. Good morning, bud. Well, I'm doing all right this morning. I mean, I'm not feeling it so much. You know, Wednesday morning I started a Wednesday weigh-in, and of course I was up 5 pounds from the week before, and I made that public to everybody, and I've got it now on my scroll on the bottom. You can see my weight every Wednesday, so my starting weight, my current weight. But it bummed me out, and so I had mentioned that I thought maybe I should start riding a little bit more, and so I got on my bike again Wednesday night and did another half hour, and my legs were feeling it a little bit. I think I had recovered decently from the morning ride, and I'll tell you some supplements that I'm using for recovery. One of them's called Ignition, but we'll talk about that another time. So I was feeling all right, but my ass wasn't ready for it, I guess would be the best way to put it. And so I did that half hour, and it was a very flat route that I did, but I was still struggling quite a bit. And what sparked that ride was that I had weighed myself again Wednesday when I had gotten home, and was very disappointed that throughout the day I'd gained more weight. Matter of fact, to a point that I don't believe I've ever been on a scale weighing that much ever in my life, that I remember at least. And so I just wanted to burn off whatever mistakes I'd made throughout the day. And one of the things that I changed in my diet was adding vegetables to my meals and trying to eat the vegetables before I ate my proteins. But I think that it's a possibility that the higher sodium level of what I was eating might have caused some of the weight gain, but not worried about it too much. I'm going to stick to that plan for at least a few weeks and see if I can adjust, if my body will adjust to it. And then if for some reason it's not, then we'll move on to a different plan. You know, so that's one of the things that whenever I talk about the plan, which is something I put on paper years ago, and that's just set a goal, make a plan, follow the plan, achieve your goals. Very simple, kind of 1, 2, 3 step kind of process. And happy Friday, man. Good morning. And so, and part of that plan is, when you say follow the plan, it's always been adjust. You know what your goal is, stick to the goal, create a plan. It doesn't always work out, or maybe you fail or whatever, that's fine. You just have to adjust your plan and keep moving forward towards that goal. And that's why so many people say, know your why, and make sure it's a strong enough why of why you're going after that particular goal. For me, it's to get down to 244 pounds. It's so that I can have the umbilical surgery that I desperately do need. And what's kind of driving me from a why standpoint, as silly as this may sound, is that I love to weightlift, and I cannot do that with this hernia. It's not safe. And I proved that a year ago when I had many complications from it originally. I think that's what caused it. Even though it was torn worse in the fall, I believe that it was possible that I had that slight hernia a year ago, and that's what triggered all of the doctor's visits and blood tests and everything else I've been through over the last year, which wasn't a bad thing. I discovered a few more issues that I had that I wasn't aware of. So, you know, and ultimately, if I get myself down to 244, there's no guarantee in this, but I would suspect that I would reduce medication at that point. That's what happened in 2012 when I lost my weight. You know, I was able to get most of my levels to to where they need to be. Even if they were on the higher end, they were still safe. So for me, that's my cholesterol, my blood pressure, and my blood sugar levels are the primary things I have to always work on. And because we sit inside all day, I have to take supplements for vitamin D and things like that. And so there's more, you know, there's positive effects of me losing weight besides just having the surgery so I can get back to weightlifting. Now, the only positive of being heavy and gaining the weight was that I was significantly stronger in the gym. And for me, that was my reward. And so, you know, it's kind of human nature to always go after what makes you feel good and what keeps you positive. And so when you have a reward for what you're doing, you tend to keep doing it. And for me, that was being stronger and stronger and stronger, you know, every week or so. And so getting heavy wasn't a problem until it became a problem. You know, aesthetically, I didn't like how I looked. However, you know, but I could go in the gym and lift a significant amount of weight and feel okay with it. And so for me, this is more of not just a transformation of weight and a surgery. I'm hoping it's also a mindset change and that my goals change over time. And so I am hoping by midsummer that I'm able to get into some at least gravel bike races and experience that for the first time in almost 20 years. You know, I did a couple mountain bike races back in the late 90s, and it wasn't my thing. I wasn't good at it. But I think this time around, if I do a couple gravel bike events, the competitive nature in me may come out, and that may drive a new set of goals where they're driven more towards a cardio type aspect, and they may take away, or may replace, I should say, my joy in the gym, I guess would be the best way to put it, or weightlifting. So I'm just hoping that my mindset changes over the next bit of time, over the next few months, to where this becomes a bit of an addiction, because it's a good addiction for me personally, as silly as that also may sound. So, and then like I've always said, I mean, having you guys on here and jumping on, and even if it's just saying, hey man, saying hello or good morning, or, you know, get off your ass and push harder and all that, it all works. whether you believe it or not, you being on here with me motivates me. I'm one of those personalities that when it's just for me, it's not enough. When I feel like maybe I might be helping somebody else, such as my friend Carrie, who says she's inspired by what I'm doing, then that helps push me to get up and actually do this. And so everybody has their own thing, man. And for me, that's one of them. So when I know somebody's, either getting on, making sure that I'm doing what I say I was going to do, or if it's just because they've mentioned that what I'm doing is inspiring them, it's another thing that I personally need to move forward, because again, for whatever weird reason, when it's just for myself, it doesn't seem to be enough, and there's been quite a few mornings already in this short time that I haven't wanted to do this, and I've still got up and done it. I think this morning was one of the worst mornings as far as actually getting up and getting ready, and so my notes aren't put together for my topic that I wanted to talk about. I really barely finalized getting everything set up until about 5 minutes before it was time to get on, and but I still did it, and I think I hit the snooze button at least 4 times this morning. So it does make a difference when you go public. When you say you're going to do something and people are going to hold you accountable when you don't, And I'll tell you, the only way that I plan on not being online in the morning is if my internet is out. That's the only excuse that I feel like I could ever have to not be here for, when I say I'm going to. So if for whatever reason my electricity goes out or my internet goes out, that's the only way I'm not going to be here. So other than that, I do plan on being here. And I've also said I want to do some other things, and I'm not in a position where I want to invest more money to buy a treadmill or something like that in order to possibly use the run version of Zwift. But I want to definitely do some other things. So I'm behind the scenes, I'm looking at other streaming options for other types of exercises. And I'm not even saying that's going to be too important. I know that there is the ability in Restream and some of the other platforms to actually take a video that I make and just upload it. And so if I'm out snowshoeing or hiking or even trail running eventually, I know that I can eventually get to where I'm filming that, and then I can just upload those videos too. Won't be the same as being live, but it makes sure that everybody is able to keep up with what I'm doing on this journey to lose the weight. Now, what I have done is I use an Apple iPhone, so it has the health app. And so what I'm planning on doing for my weigh-in Wednesdays is actually taking that monthly chart and putting that up there. So as I weigh myself in on my Bluetooth scale, my poundage will be recorded, and then I'll just put that chart up every Wednesday, and everybody will see exactly where I'm at. And what I'm hoping that does, like it did back in 2012, is it pushes me to push myself harder so that I have success on Wednesdays. Because I can tell you, this last Wednesday, showing that I had gained weight from the time that I started in early January, was not fun. Obviously it was embarrassing, and nobody's making me do this. So I mean, I could easily just hide behind a rock, but that's not going to help me. And anybody that needs the inspiration of what I'm doing, that's just going to be another affirmation that maybe they can't do it. So again, I know there's people out there that are watching this, and I know there's people out there watching this that aren't saying anything, but they're watching anyways. and most of those are my Facebook friends and family, and they need me to succeed so that they can mentally prepare themselves to do the same thing. And so I know there's a bigger picture here, and I don't say that because I'm guessing it. It's because back in 2012 I also represented a product, and over time people came out of the woodwork once they saw the success happening over the months, and they eventually jumped in. Hey, good morning, Tina. Thank God it's Friday, and thank God it's a weekend I don't work. Every other Saturday I actually go in for 5 hours, and in the Saturdays that I don't go into work, I have my daughters, and I spend time with them. And lately, actually for Christmas, I bought them I don't know why I can't think right now. I bought them horse riding lessons. And so on Sundays, well, it looks like I froze up again, guys. Give me 1 second here. Let me get that fixed, hopefully. Anyways, I gave them Yeah, I think I am a friend on Zwift. I'll have to check that when we get done. But anyway, so on Sundays we've been going to lessons with them, and I've been recording that, videotaping it, taking pictures, and I'm working on a small movie, just to document their experience for them. Sorry, I'm trying to read the messages. So I'm just putting a movie together for them, and I'll share that on one of my YouTube channels once I get done with it. So probably closer to this summer when we finish up their lessons. Oh boy, guys. So one of the things that I try to do in my training room here is get the temperature proper. And so what I've been doing at night is turning the temperature down to 59 degrees, and then of course, then I have a fan on, and that seems to be a decent temperature for me to stay cool throughout the ride. But I just noticed that a mistake I made this morning when I was rushing it is I don't have a towel to wipe my brow. So it's all right, man. I'll get through it. It's one of the reasons that I wear these headbands when I ride. And I'll tell you, the story behind me wearing headbands was really for my helmet when I'm out on the trails. And I've never had a helmet that's felt too comfortable. And so having a headband on always seemed to help, obviously, control sweat a little better, but also with my fit on the helmets that I've had, just feel better. And so eventually, when I joined the first form team, of course, they sent me some of their swag, and it had some headbands in it, and that was similar to what I'm wearing now. And then a few weeks ago, I ended up partnering up with a company called Sleeves. And so if you ever go to Sleeves and order any of their products, and I think there's a lot of products for cyclists, even though they don't advertise them for cyclists, but they have arm sleeves, they have yoga pants for women. They have, more tights for men. So when you're getting out to ride this spring and it's a little cool, they have neck gaiters that can come up to your face. They have quite a few products that they don't even realize are actually cyclist products, and I'm trying to help them understand that, that they've got another market out there. So the brand I'm wearing right now is Sleeves. If you use Oak Life 40 as a discount code, you'll get 40% off. And I've got a link somewhere that when you go through that link, I think it's on YouTube, that you'll it's a way to support me. They give me a couple pennies every time you buy something. Obviously at their low price, I'm not becoming rich, but it does help support me buy this equipment. There's a lot of equipment behind the scenes to make these streams actually work. And so, and I'll, as full disclosure, most links that I share, I'm associated with them one way or the other, but I don't share links that I don't use. So if there's a product I'm recommending, it's because I've used it. And so, and I'll also tell you there may be some products that you notice me using that I don't have links to, because I don't feel like I've used it long enough to give an opinion. So all of the Amazon links that are shared primarily on YouTube, those are something that I will get a couple of pennies. It doesn't change the price that you pay. They just pay me as an advertiser for their products, only if you buy. So, and by the way, 99.9% of the time, anybody that shares you an Amazon link, that's how it works for them too, even if they're not disclosing that to you. So if you're interested in knowing whether or not you've been given a link, you can usually see it that somebody's going to get credit for, unless they're using a number nomenclature for their code. You're going to be able to tell that that was a link from them. So for me, usually you're going to see link to Dave somewhere in that product, and that just is my code that tells Amazon that I'm the one that referred you to that particular product. So again, I've actually never received a check. I don't remember what the threshold is. I think it's $100 that you have to earn before they'll send you anything. And then of course that dies off over time. So if you haven't reached those goals in, I don't know what it is, I'm gonna say a year, then that money goes away. And so I've never actually received a check from Amazon, and I don't refer the products hoping to receive a check. And so I try to give my honest opinion as I go through and recommend different things. And I only recommend what I've used. Which I wish everybody did that. Now there are some review channels out there that they're getting a first look and they put their links, and you may still buy that product because it's your first time being exposed to it and you might want to buy it for whatever reason, but I think that everybody should only recommend what they use and what they have experience with. Well, for whatever reason this morning, I feel like I'm kind of kicking ass a little bit on my pace. I hadn't really paid attention, but I just noticed that I've went 6.8 miles already, and it's not quite 30 minutes, and I think that's a personal record, so yay me. So yeah, so even though I didn't really want to get up, I seem to be performing better today. Now, it's funny, if you follow calories, cycling does not burn a lot of calories. I could hike, over an hour and burn twice the calories that I ever would cycling. So when it's just a calorie in, calorie out world that you may live in, cycling does not burn a lot of calories, even though I think it's bullshit, because I think that my level of sweat determines whether or not I've truly worked, and the pain in my thighs also is an indication. So even though it says that I burn under 400 calories on these 1 hour rides, I kind of think it's bullshit. But I figure if you stay consistent, continue to do your thing, that over time you're gonna see the results. And for me, this is fulfilling a couple of requirements that I need. Obviously I want to lose weight, but everybody needs to work their heart. Everybody needs to have cardio in their life. You know, it's just good for your heart. My great-grandfather used to walk 5 miles a day all the way into his 80s until he had a car accident. And he would have probably lived into his hundreds if it wasn't for that car accident, which is a funny story that we'll maybe talk about later on in the ride. But let's get to our topic of the day, and that is my opinion on Zwift and some things that I think that they can possibly add. And I was planning on sending them a message before I did this online, just to tell them what I was thinking. And you guys can, I guess, help me decide if that's even worth sending that message or not. Of course, nothing ever hurts. I mean, there's never too stupid of a question. But, so my opinion of Zwift so far, you know, I love it enough to where I'm doing it. So, if I didn't like it, if I didn't like what the program gave me, I'd be on to something else. Trying one of the other programs, such as Sufferfest or whatever. There's other ones. But I'm happy with it so far. I'm still learning it, but I'm very happy with it. My only negative comment, and it's primarily because I'm streaming, but it takes up a lot of data in order to run this on a computer. And so I'm sure they're working on compression, but if they could continue to work on compression so it doesn't take up so much of the CPU, and you could still gain the same, you know, fluent quality, that would be awesome. But I'm sure every game out there in the stream world would love to do the same thing. So I'm not saying anything groundbreaking. It's just one of the deals that that's just one of the deals that that I'm thinking. Woohoo! Man. So it is intensive. However, you don't have to use a computer, and of course you don't have to stream. And so these minor issues that I have aren't really that big of a deal for most people. You can use just your iPhone or your smartphone. So even if you have an Android phone, and you can run it right off there. You can run it off of a tablet, which for old people like me would be probably better because we need the bigger screen to see. But so that's my only complaint, is when you run on a computer it takes up a lot. So I've actually had invested in hardware, so a new computer, and I bought a gaming computer that is part of the reason I'm able to do this. I'm still having some glitches on the camcorder side of things, which I thought I fixed yesterday, but you know, there's one thing for sure is you can't ever worry about that kind of stuff because something's always going to happen, whether it's the sound, whether it's the the camcorder itself, whether, you know, whatever. So I don't worry about it. If it's live, there's going to be mistakes. It's not edited, and so I've done things enough over the years to know that not to worry about it too much. So it should never trigger my Tourette's if I go, you know, if things are going wrong. But I'm sure once I start becoming more competitive on the riding side, you guys will get to witness the wonderful Tourette's of Dave Bernard. It will happen eventually. So, it's not always fun. At least for me. It might be funny, but it's not fun for me when it triggers. But so anyway, so back to what I think some things that Zwift could do and why. Well, what I would love is the opportunity to do more than just bike ride. And so Zwift, other people have said that too. So Zwift over the last couple of years have put in a run feature. And so you can actually buy a small little pod that attaches to your shoe, or if you happen to have a treadmill that is a smart treadmill that just directly goes to Zwift. But either way, you don't need that. You can just spend, I think, $40 on a little pod, and you can actually use the treadmill, which I haven't done yet. And that gives you some variety for your off days, or, you know, especially us beginners and us fat asses that just can't bike every day or can't bike for a couple of hours yet. You know, gives us that potential variety. But there's other things. So when you think about full body exercise, when you're cycling, you're obviously getting a huge muscle group, your legs, working, which is good. You're getting a little bit of a static workout, almost like planking in your chest and arms and some of your upper body, but not much. And you can adjust that a lot. And of course, there's some things you could do to possibly maximize that while you're riding. You know, you could move positions and hold for periods of time for your upper body, but it's, again, not much. So there are other things that I think that it would be cool if Zwift would add, because they are out on other programs, and that is rowing. I think that adding rowing to the Zwift world and using at least a Concept 2 rower, I think that would be fun and awesome, especially when it's still in the world. So adding rowing, I think, would be awesome for Zwift to do. I would be super happy with that. And from a workout standpoint, now you're hitting another large muscle group, which is your back. You're still hitting your legs, you're hitting your back, you're hitting your biceps. I mean, you're definitely getting a lot of your upper body. And so there are programs out there where you can buy a Concept 2 rower and connect online. Of course, I haven't done it yet, and I struggled with whether or not it would be possible to stream that, but I think I've figured out how to do it. So you may see me do that in the future, but it'd be awesome if it just stayed within Zwift. You know, even if it costs more per month, that would be awesome. And my next idea for the Zwift world would be for them to add cross-country skiing. Again, Concept 2 makes a product called the Ski Urge. Ski, E-R-G, so Ski Urge. And I think that, and there's only one program that's already debunked itself, and it doesn't exist anymore, that allowed you to use a Ski Urge and do it online in a similar fashion as what I'm doing on this bike. Again, I think that would be awesome. However, there is a small limitation with the Ski Urge, is that you would not see you wouldn't see your actual computer screen, so it'd have to be some kind of contraption with a tablet or something so you could actually see what you're doing. And I know a couple of companies have used some virtual reality, and so the virtual reality glasses, in order for you to feel like you're in the world, which sounds awesome until you realize that you're going to be sweating your bees off. Your bees or your V's are going to be sweating, and you're not going to want that sweaty virtual reality unit on your head. So I think it's a fun idea, but not overly practical in my opinion. So that's it. That's my two ideas for what I think Zwift could add to create variety. Oh, and to talk about why I think the Ski Urge would be important, because you're not getting a core workout really at all when you're cycling. You're not getting a huge core workout, a little bit when you're rowing. So my idea of using the rower will give you a small core workout on the return phase, but not, again, not much. The Ski Urge, in the way that, you know, it works, where you're skiing itself, that is a core work. That will actually help your core. And in another video We're going to talk a little bit about umbilical hernias and what causes them and how to prevent them. And so talking about core exercise or thinking through doing core exercises throughout the week is important. One of the important factors of avoiding or preventing hernias. And we'll talk about how, you know, the dangers of having a hernia and whether or not you need to do anything about them or if you can let them go. And I have experience on both ends. I have already had a hernia operation in my lower abdomen over 20 years ago. And we used biomesh back then. So right now, so I saw that with, what's his name? What's the guy? What's the guy's name? That just switched over and he's now representing the company. I forget his name. Anyways, so I've seen that. I don't think I watched the full video on rider height affecting speed. You know, for me, I love the fact that this Wahoo Kickr is interactive, and I know the other trainers out there too, and that it takes into account your measurements, how the program itself affects it. You know, I don't understand 100%, but for me, when you look at my wattage and my RPMs compared to other people out there, and then look at the speed, you'll notice that, I mean, I'm much slower. So to me, there's no question that they're accounting for my weight. And so they know I'm heavy, and so I have to work harder to go up a hill just like you would out in the real world. Where I think they fail me a little bit with my weight is the speed in which I go down certain hills, because I definitely go faster than the 27 miles an hour that they say. So my watts, Kate, okay. Yeah, so I know it affects me. As far as the height goes, you know, that's an interesting one, because for me, and you know, for me specifically, even though I'm 5'11", I'm not the same 5'11" as several other people. Maybe I'm average, but what I mean by that is I have a long torso and I don't have long legs. I have 30-inch inseam, and so I have shorter legs, and so my height isn't as much of a factor as my leg length, in my opinion. And so I think that it's I think that they're probably doing the best they can. But you know, I would imagine anybody out there, my wind resistance, more drag, huh? Well, it does. I mean, there's no question that unless you're in that tucked position, your wind resistance, you're going to have more body mass or more surface area for wind to affect your ride. So that makes sense. But I'm sure that with enough of the complaints that are out there, especially now that they're racing and it's more competitive, that the programmers are doing everything they can to figure out a way to be fair to everybody. You know, and everybody's just got to be patient with that. I mean, it's not like, even though there's an army of people probably working behind the scenes, you know, it's usually only 1 or 2 people working on specific code. And so everybody's just got to be patient with them. And they've got to, you know, and if it's a big deal in the community, the louder they get, the more focus I'm sure Zwift will put on it. You know, if I really thought that rowing and ski erging was, or cross-country skiing was something that was popular, I'm sure I could reach out to thousands of people and get them to push Zwift to do something. But I highly doubt. Yeah, I wouldn't think it's a disadvantage at 6'2", I mean, personally, but you know, hey, we all are disadvantaged. In my opinion, we're all disadvantaged on certain things. You know, when we go into a gym, my stature is an advantage. So I'm able to naturally lift heavier just by the way I'm built. I'm able to lift more weight. Just genetically, I'm able to lift more weight also, but just by stature alone gives me the ability to lift more weight. Whereas if I want to run a marathon or if I want to cycle, I'm at a disadvantage. And so I have to put more effort in, you know, in order to, all right, man, yeah, get that baby. But I have to put more effort in than other people to compensate for the fact that I'm fat. You know, so if I want to keep up with these guys, for instance, on the screen, I have to do some major RPMs and gear shifts to even try to catch them. I'm going to try to catch one right now to show you. So I'm at 122 RPMs, 302 watts, and I'm probably just barely staying at their pace. Well, guess what? My oxygen absorption doesn't allow me to do that very long at all. And so it is what it is. I would love to say that all is fair in war, but it's not, you know? So if I want to compete with a lot of these riders, I have to lose weight and I have to become more physically fit. I have to increase my VO2 max in order to do that. Is that fair? It's life, man. So if people are being disadvantaged a little bit by their height as far as wind resistance, hey, trust me, they got a much better advantage than I do at 5'11" if you're 6'2" and weigh, you know, 180 pounds at 6'2" versus 315 pounds or so at 5'11" when it comes to cycling. Well, if we went to a gym, I would have an advantage over you. Just life. So I think that Zwift can always do better, and I'm confident in the size of the community that they're always going to try. They're always going to be making things better, giving more worlds to ride in, more cities. I'm sure of it. It's not even a question. They have to survive, or else somebody else will come in and do something better. Just like somebody else is going to do the rowing thing or the skiing thing. So Zwift, if you're listening, let's do it. I would love to add the Concept 2 rower. Now, what's interesting is that there's also a bike I think by the same company, and I think it's called the Bike Urge, and so it actually will work with Zwift. It's the only piece of equipment that they currently have that does, and so they're in the Zwiftiverse universe already with that particular product. So I don't think it would be a hard jump for them to get over. And maybe they're already doing it. Maybe this is just an old idea that hasn't came up yet. But I think it'd be awesome. I would love to add almost like a triathlete, or a, you know, yeah, there goes the camera again, guys. So we're going to turn it off for a sec. I would love to go into like a tri workout where it's cycling, rowing, and skiing as part of a 2 or 3 hour event, or even an hour, and jumping from one unit to the other. That'd be fun to do something like that. And for me, Zwift is awesome when it comes to, obviously it's wintertime here, and so it's really cool to be able to do this riding, where a lot of, in the past, I'd ride just in the spring and summer and fall, and then I'd have up to 5 months or so where I wasn't riding, 3 to 5 months where I wasn't riding at all. And so what Zwift allows me to do is actually ride throughout the winter. But the other advantage is that it allows me not to have an excuse, period, because I can ride before work every day all year round and don't have to worry about you know, the road traffic or anything like that. So there's other advantages besides just the wintertime for me that I can see using this app along with my trainer. And that would be the same thing if I added the ski urge and or the rower, and just giving that variety or that more closer to a full body workout. And when I think about it, just those 3 specific types of working out would actually be great, period. I mean, you would pretty much cover your whole body. I mean, the only thing that you'd be missing potentially is, let's say, your triceps, but you get a lot of work on those just from riding, just from the handlebars themselves. And so just sitting here in this position, you can actually, that's actually doing something for you. You're actually keeping those triceps toned. And like I said, I mean, you can do some other things while you're riding that could actually work those a little bit more if you wanted to. But adding the 3 apparatuses would be awesome. And it'd be nice just to stay in Zwift. Now, like I said, it's possible to do it without it. Sorry guys, I'm gonna try to get the camera up and running again. But because I know you guys love seeing my face. Not really. So I just think it would be cool to have all 3 of those apparatuses. I would like to get my hands on a used Concept 2 rower with at least I forget if it's a model or whatever, but that has the 3, 4, 5 monitor on it. Is the one that it has to have in order to tie it into Zwift. But I would love to get my hands on one of those in the near future and start there. And even though it wouldn't be on Zwift, I think I've got it figured out how we could stream that activity also. And that's another exercise that I've always enjoyed, was rowing. My parents, when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there, they had this really cheap rower that they had bought that had gas pistons on it. And they stopped using it, and I eventually had it in my room, and that was my primary back exercise. And I just loved cranking that thing out. And then when I got into CrossFit, you know, rowing was a major part of that programming. It wasn't something you did every day, but it came in enough. And when I was in better shape than I am now, you know, I was good at it. And of course, that's just one of the things, man. When you're good at something, or you can feel like you're having some success, it's easier to do it. And so, you know, I had success doing it and really enjoyed rowing because it was something I was above average on and could feel good about it. A lot of things in CrossFit, I was very below average. And, you know, even though you know it's good for your exercise, at least me, I shouldn't say men or women, but for myself, my ego didn't like the fact that I was the worst at something, you know. And so, you know, being good at something always made you a little more motivated, at least for me. So rowing was great. There was definitely some things I couldn't do. I couldn't climb a rope. I couldn't do any kind of pull-ups for the most part. I never kipped anything because luckily I've been to quite a few CrossFit gyms or boxes, and not all of them are equal, but the one that I spent the most time at was very good at making sure that that you modified what you were doing, and so they didn't let you do something that you weren't ready for. And so they made sure that you could do the basics and use proper form in everything that you did. And so if you're watching first generation CrossFit out of Elmont, Michigan, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate what you guys do for the community and all of your members. Even though I'm not there anymore, I always speak very highly of what you guys do over there. And anybody that's looking to join a gym and you're a little bit afraid of CrossFit, don't be. If you're here locally near me, definitely give those guys a try, because the one thing that what I think boot camp and CrossFit gyms give people is this amazing community that's supportive for you, and they help you, especially if you're somebody that's really never spent any time in a gym. They're really awesome because they're going to teach you how to do things right and what to do. And so give CrossFit or boot camps a shot if you're just trying to figure out what you want to do, because that community support and the things that they do is amazing for most people. You know, this is another one of my rides, and it's the reason that I've always suggested that people stream along with riding on Zwift, is because as we get into these conversations, even if I fumble through them, the ride just flows, and I don't even realize that I've went as long as I have. You know, so I've went over 12 miles in less than an hour. It doesn't feel like I've barely even been up and running yet. I mean, this feels like I've been on here for about 20 minutes and it's almost an hour. So again, and you know, the funny thing is that going along with that same theme is that when I rode Wednesday night, I just was watching a TV show, and I had Zwift just on my phone, and that 30 minutes was hell. So there's definitely a difference for me personally. So we only got about a minute and a half left, and legs are hitting it a little bit. We're at a 0% grade, so I'm gonna up the wattage for the last minute or so and see how we finish out. Looks like we're heading to the volcanoes. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go over the hour and try to get to 13 miles. So we'll quit when I hit 13 miles. The legs are definitely feeling it this morning. My thighs are starting to fill up with blood. The lactic acid is jumping in. Any of you guys that do any of these kind of workouts, one of the things that you need to do at the end, and this is going to be a topic one of these days, is we're going to talk about the benefits of sugar and when you should use it. And a hint is immediately after a workout. And there's some good supplements out there that aren't actually sugar that are more effective. Well, I've already hit 13 miles, so I guess we'll go to an hour. All right, well, screw it. Let's finish out the last few seconds hard. Ah! Woo! That's it, guys. Another week done. More miles than ever as far as my week goes, and that's mostly because I did a Wednesday night ride that you guys didn't see. But I'm getting better, and that's all I can ask. The weight's not coming off yet, but my riding's getting better. The better I get to ride, the more specific I can be on my workouts for weight loss specifically. There you go, there's the alarm. And so, oh man. So if you guys can give me your ideas on your thoughts on the idea of whether or not you think that adding rowing or cross-country skiing to Zwift is a good idea or not, or what your thoughts are. And I'm going to send a message off to them anyways and try to connect them with some of the companies that have done it or are doing it now, and see if that can be something added to the world. I would love it. I like to keep all my stuff in one place if possible, and I'm already getting used to what Zwift is capable of on the biking side, so it'd be kind of fun to throw rowing and skiing in there to kind of get more of a full body workout throughout the week. So appreciate any opinions that you guys end up having on that. And I might ride again this weekend. I haven't decided yet. I'm not quite there, I don't think. But if not, we'll see you guys Monday morning at 7 a.m. and we will ride at you later.